I don't think we realize what the Dallas Cowboys just did. So we're going to be going through that and 3 other stories in today's video. So make sure to like this video, and if you want more Mercedes news content like this, make sure to subscribe to the channel by hitting that red button down below. The first story is Dallas Cowboys Micah Parsons suggests 2 moves Cowboys should make this offseason. The Dallas Cowboys have been the model of consistency over the last 3 years, posting 12 to 5 seasons in each campaign. However, that consistency has also reared its head in the postseason with early playoff exits in all 3 seasons. Now they embark on the offseason where they'll look to retool the roster in hopes of getting over the hump and snapping their recent playoff woes in 2024. As for what the team may need to do in order to accomplish that, Micah Parsons has a couple of ideas. The Cowboys' star pass rusher was taking part in the NBA Celebrity All-Star Game, which he won MVP of this weekend, and over the course of the festivities spoke with the Stephen A. Smith Show, where the two discussed his NFL club and what this offseason may bring. Starting with the defensive side of the ball, Parsons is hoping that the team can bring in some players that make the unit bigger, specifically along the defensive line. I said, look at every team that was in that Final Four, Parsons said via NFL.com. Who did they have? Who did Baltimore have? A great linebacking core, right? Who did San Fran have? Great linebacking course. Bolton, and they came along. We need to get another bigger linebacker. And I said we need to get a super 330 nasty interior. I saw the way Chris Jones affected that Super Bowl, and I was like, my God. And not even Chris Jones. Mike Pennell. I think we've got a lot of rushers. I think Osa, he can play inside, outside, one of the most versatile DTs. When we lost Hank, he's a big dude, but we need to get one of them big old nasty pass-rushing get-going. As for the offensive side of the ball, Parsons hopes the Cowboys bring back Tony Pollard, as the running back is slated to become a free agent after playing out the 2023 season on the franchise tag. I would say toward the end of the season, Tony Pollard was catching his rhythm again, Parsons said. I do think he's an every-down guy. You've got to think. He broke his fibula, tibia, something. That's a catastrophic injury. You're talking about a guy that's really been off from that January, came back week 1, but he didn't really do a lot. It takes a while to get back into football. He didn't do OTAs. He didn't do minicamp. He kind of did camp a little bit, like working through it, getting back into it. You saw him increase, like he even said, I'm just now getting back to myself. I would give Tony Pollard another shot. Meanwhile, Parsons may have some business to take care of himself this offseason. He is eligible for an extension, but only has until May 2nd to execute one with Dallas. If not, he's a lock to have his 5th-year option picked up. If they call my number and say, hey, we're ready, but if not, I'm going to put another Pro Bowl year, Parsons said. It only gets more expensive. Parsons also added that he'd retire before I go somewhere else. So it doesn't seem like there is much pressure at this juncture with what is likely to be a market-setting extension whenever it comes around. New Cowboys defensive coordinator Mike Zimmer has tabbed a longtime assistant to a senior role dedicated to addressing his defense's greatest liability. At Zimmer's ardent recommendation, the Cowboys hired Paul Guenther on Friday to operate as their run game coordinator, a person familiar with the decision told the Dallas Morning News. Guenther represents an important addition to the staff as a highly experienced coach in whom Zimmer has immense history and trust. Guenther and Zimmer worked together in Cincinnati from 2008 to 2013 and again in Minnesota in 2021. Guenther served as a defensive coordinator for the Cincinnati Bengals from 2014 to 2017 and the Raiders from 2018 to 2020. Zimmer envisioned having Guenther with him in Dallas before agreeing to contractual terms Monday. This is the first time the Cowboys have designated a run game coordinator in Mike McCarthy's tenure. It speaks to the area's importance after the Green Bay Packers ran at will against their undersized front during a Jan 14 first-round playoff loss. Running back Aaron Jones logged 21 carries for 118 yards and 3 touchdowns. Coaching is one part to fixing the problem. Personnel is next, as the team targets more size and physicality, including at linebacker. Some measure of reinforcement figures to come when free agency opens in March. Dallas also added Jeff Zagonina as its new defensive line coach, with Greg Ellis expected to be finalized as Zagonina's assistant, a person familiar with the situation told the news. Zgonina handled the same role for the Washington Commanders the past 2 seasons and replaces Adden Griddy, who became the Seattle Seahawks defensive coordinator last week. Ellis is a familiar face. The second story is proposed trade sends Cowboys a Jets 5-time Pro Bowler for Brandon Cooks. The Dallas Cowboys may need to get aggressive this offseason if the team hopes to be a Super Bowl contender in 2024. Could the Cowboys strike a blockbuster trade in the coming months? Former NFL general manager Mike Tannenbaum floated a wild trade proposal between the Cowboys and New York Jets. The proposed trade has Dallas landing 5-time Pro Bowl linebacker CJ Mosley in exchange for wideout Brandon Cooks. This really works well for both teams, Tannenbaum noted in a February 16, 2024 episode of ESPN's Get Up. Look, the Jets need outside speed outside of Garrett Wilson with Aaron Rodgers coming back. They have depth in their front seven. The Cowboys desperately need size and speed at middle linebacker. This is really going to help both teams. Does it really help the Jets and Cowboys as the former NFL exec suggested? Let's examine this blockbuster trade pitch. Mosley is heading into the final season of a 5-year, $85 million contract. The defender comes with a $17 million salary along with a sizable $21.4 million cap hit for 2024. Comparatively, Cooks in entering the final season of a 2-year, $39.7 million deal. Cooks has an $8 million salary with a $10 million cap hit for 2024. Dallas is already sitting at an estimated $20 million above the salary cap for 2024, per SpotRack. This trade would put Dallas even more above the cap. Financially, this trade proposal does not help the Cowboys. Historically, Dallas has also been reluctant to spend money at the linebacker position. It makes little sense financially, but would the move make the Cowboys a better team? Mosley earned an 82.9 grade from Pro Football Focus for his play last season. The veteran has 3 straight seasons, notching more than 150 tackles. Mosley posted 152 tackles, 5 tackles for loss, 7 pass deflections, 2 forced fumbles, and an interception in 17 appearances last season. Cooks' season was not quite as impressive, earning a 69.6 grade from PFF. The speedster got off to a slow start after being traded to the Cowboys, but became a key part of the team's offense by the end of the season. Cooks posted 54 receptions for 657 yards and 8 touchdowns in 16 appearances during his debut season in Dallas. The receiver has not topped 1,000 receiving yards since 2021. The Jets do need help at wide receiver but can likely find a similar caliber wideout to Cooks in either the NFL draft or free agency. Like Weiss, Dallas needs better production at linebacker but will look for more affordable options. Past history tells us the Cowboys are unlikely to break the bank at the position. Also, the Cowboys would be wise to retain Cooks and add additional receivers this offseason. Michael Gallup is a more likely candidate for Dallas to move on from in the coming months, given his limited production last season. So, who says no? More than likely both teams. But Mosley possesses more trade value than Cooks at this stage in his career. The third story is Derrick Henry could potentially sign with the Dallas Cowboys, and Michael Irvin explains why. So you're a Dallas Cowboys fan who thinks America's team should go all in for 2024 by signing 2-time NFL rushing champion Derrick Henry? No less an authority and no less than an unofficial president of the Cowboys Booster Club than icon Michael Irvin has your back. Derrick Henry can get them back. Derrick Henry hasn't gotten the love that he deserves, Irvin said on FS1's Undisputed. Come on over. Put that star on your helmet, buddy, and let us show you that kind of love. We have no idea what Irvin's talking about in terms of Titans' love. At age 30, he's viewed as an all-time legend with a Hall of Fame future. Tennessee has paid him handsomely for his service, but now he is indeed free. And so the last few off-seasons full of rumors about a Dallas connection, never valid in terms of the Cowboys' front office desires, and sometimes fueled by the fact that Henry works out here in DFW in the off-season, at least allows an easy path to making a transaction. All Dallas has to do is prioritize signing him. CowboysSI.com has been told that the Cowboys prefer the idea of using, say, a day 2 draft pick on a running back, while also likely turning the page from Tony Pollard, a free agent who was franchise tagged a year ago at $10 million. It is our impression that Dallas does not plan on spending $10 million per year on a running back again anytime soon. Would Henry play for less than that in order to put the star on his helmet and feel the love? One projection suggests he might be a $4.6 million guy on a one-year deal. We will admit that such an idea is far more tempting than spending twice that, especially as we review the fact that Henry is coming off his sixth straight season with over 1,000 yards from scrimmage and double-digit touchdowns. Last year, remarkably, marked the fourth time in 5 years that he led the NFL in carries. Having said all that, you in Cowboys Nation need to make sure you are being more rational about the idea of Derrick to Big D than Irvin is when he said, "Let's see Derrick Henry get 2,000 yards for the Dallas Cowboys."